Hey there, marketers. You're listening to the Son of a Pitch podcast, where elite marketing strategy meets simple, practical execution. I'm your host, Kenneth, and today we're diving into three major marketing strategies that will dominate 2026 based on what's happening across platforms, industries, and consumer behavior right now. This episode is brought to you by Pitch Cloud, the creative studio, helping brands tell better stories through intentional design, video, and strategy that actually converts. Learn more at pitchcloudmanagement.com. Let's get into it. Marketing is going through one of the biggest transitions we've seen in a decade. Not because of one single platform, not because of one trend, not even because of AI replacing everything. The shift is happening because consumer behavior has changed at every level. People scroll differently, they search differently, they learn differently, they buy differently, and most importantly, they trust differently. And when trust changes, marketing has to change with it. 2026 is shaping up to be the year where brands finally realize that blasting content isn't enough, that algorithms can't be dependent on, and that customers expect personalization, not perfection. So let me break down the three major strategies rising across industries right now and will become non-negotiable by 2026. Strategy number one is what I call radical relevance. Here's what that means. Brands are moving away from trying to speak to everyone and shifting towards speaking very clearly to extremely specific micro audiences. In other words, broad messaging is dying and precision messaging is becoming the norm. You can see this everywhere. Niche influencers outperforming big influencers. Industry-specific content popping more than general content. Communities growing faster than followings. People trusting smaller, specialized voices over mainstream ones. It's not that people are less social. It's that they're more selective. They want content that matches their lifestyle, their language, their stage of life, their goals, their identity. Even big brands are adjusting by creating micro content streams for different slices of their audience. Why this is happening? Well, because people are tired of generic brand voices. They want content that feels like it was made for them, not for the masses. What this means for marketers: you don't need a bigger audience. You need a more accurate one. So here's a quick little strategy. I want you to identify 3 to 5 micro moments your audience experiences and make content around each. A micro moment is something specific that your audience thinks, feels, or does on a regular basis. You'll be shocked at how much faster relevancy grows. Strategy number 2 is vertical storytelling, using vertical video as a full funnel, not just for awareness. This is a huge shift because for years, vertical content meant discovery, long-form content meant depth, and landing pages meant conversion. Now, platforms are merging these functions together. A single vertical video can hook the viewer, tell a story, build trust, and drive action, all in one piece. We're seeing buyers making decisions inside social platforms now. People are skipping websites entirely. Short-form creators are building deep relationships, and we're seeing platforms pushing in-app checkout and in-app education. Why? Well, because people want speed and simplicity. They want to understand quickly. They want to trust quickly. They want to decide quickly. Vertical content is now the fastest way to do that. Now, this is what that means. It means that if your brand's vertical videos are only built for entertainment or awareness, you're already behind. Vertical videos, they now need structure. They need a hook that's the first 2 to 3 seconds. They need a story, the insight, the lesson or transformation, and that good old-fashioned CTA or call to action. They need to know the action, the next step, or even the invitation. Not everything has to be long, but everything has to be intentional. Here's another strategy for you. I want you to use this 5-second hook formula. Most people struggle with blank because blank. Here's how to fix it. This works across various industries, from marketing, fitness, finance, beauty, real estate, coaching, tech, education, you name it. It's universal because it speaks to a problem and a reason, 2 things people instantly understand. All right, the third major strategy for 2026 is owned attention. This is the response to years of brands feeling like their visibility was being controlled by algorithms. People are finally realizing you can't depend on reach. You can't depend on virality. You can't depend on followers seeing your content. You can't depend on platforms staying the same. Brands that thrive in 2026 will be the ones who build direct relationships with their audience. So this includes email lists, SMS lists, private communities, memberships, groups, subscriber-only channels, educational hubs, and even brand-owned platforms. When you own the relationship, you control communication, you control reach, you control consistency. And this is not about spamming people. I just want to repeat, this is not about spamming people. It's about being a trusted resource in their life. And here's why this is important. It's important because trust is decentralized. People no longer trust big brands automatically. They trust the ones who show up consistently, directly, and authentically. Another strategy tip for you. I want you to create a weekly value drop that your audience can depend on. It could be tips, it could be insights, it could be resources, templates, playlists, behind the scenes, industry breakdowns, etc. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds conversions. So, here's how you can get ahead before these become mainstream. Number one, shift part of your content strategy to serve specific micro audiences, not the general public. Number two, build vertical content that is intentional, structured, and story-driven. And the third one, start collecting emails or building a community, something you own outside of the algorithm. So these small adjustments today, they'll turn into massive advantages later. Mark my words. Everything we talked about today has one common thread. Depth beats width. Connection beats reach. Clarity beats complexity. If you get these three right, 2026 becomes an opportunity, not a risk. That's it for today's podcast episode of Son of a Pitch. If this helped you sharpen your thinking or gave you some thoughts to just noodle on, share with a friend or another marketer who likes staying ahead. Next week, we're talking about the psychology of why people buy, the real triggers behind every conversion. You won't want to miss it. For more creative support and message strategy, visit pitchcloudmanagement.com. See you next week.